The home of the Gamecocks.
107.5
The Game.
And welcome into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, and Chris Clark along with you on this Wednesday. Welcome back, Chris. Didn't have you in here yesterday. Guys, I want to actually ask you this really quick. I wrapped up the last hour of the extra play talking about these proposals for clock rules in college football, trying to shorten the game, and the proposals on the table are simple as the extreme of the clock for incomplete passes. I got a lot of reactions for this on the text line. Nobody wants college football games to be shorter. Like, is this really a need, or do we really need to shorten the games up more?
These proposals are lame, is the answer to your question, Tyler. I would say this. College football games have gotten just incredibly long, possibly too long, as far as the amount of time you have to contribute to watch a game. However, a big part of it is just the amount of downtime and the amount of commercials. And I am fully aware that those big SEC TV contracts, along with both pros and cons of pros, being that the teams get some multi-millions of dollars every year off of it. And the cons are that you have that guy in the red hat walk out there and stop you from playing football.
Right.
It seems like every 7 minutes of the game. I saw an estimate that this may take like 9 to 11 plays off the game if you do some of these things. I am in no way a fan of the clock continuing to run in some situations because it completely changes the strategy of the game.
Sure.
The 2 minutes that's been used in the past as like kind of marker, but late game starts well before 2 minute situation. A late game situation can be when there's 3 minutes left. It can be when there's 4.5 minutes left. If you're down by 2 scores, you're late game when it's 6 minutes left. So I actually hate that thought. I think there have to be ways. We've seen this in MLB. You see it. I mean, I don't watch soccer, but you see it in that as well. There are ways to sort of integrate. It's a good segue for later. There are ways to integrate advertising into the flow of the sport. And we see that in baseball sometimes in between a pitch or something. They'll do like a quick outro and talk about business, and you never actually go away from the game.
Right.
We see soccer interviews where they roll up that big thing with all the companies behind the guy that has a bunch of logos on it.
Right.
So I think there are ways to continue to maybe cut down on the overall time and use just traditional advertising, because that may be a more efficient way to get these companies in front of your fans than even the traditional way. Because I don't know about y'all, I don't really watch commercials anymore. If it's DVR'd, I fast forward.
Sure.
And if it's DVR'd, that's when I go to the kitchen. So I don't.
And that's the point I brought up. I'm 26 years old. I fall in the demographic of short attention span. When a commercial break comes on for 2 to 3 minutes, I'm looking at my phone, Twitter, texting, whatever it may be. So your advertisement's not really getting home to me. There are plenty of commercials that I've heard 100 times, and I watch it one time, like on the 101st time, and I'm like, wow, I've never actually looked at this commercial. I've only heard it. So again, it's not very effective for me. But when you do that side by side thing like the NFL, like the NBA do, you're at least, yes, I'm looking at the TV screen. I may not be looking at your Duracell ad, but at least in my peripheral vision, having a better effect than looking at my phone and it being background noise.
This using the wrong mic.
Hold on. We're playing. Here we go. The mix.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens when Chris skips a couple of days?
Just one. Wait.
We're on Monday, so it's kind of like 2.
I don't know.
You guys are on Friday, so that's great.
3 days, and I have no idea how to use the mics anymore in here.
It does have 3 mics over there. So.
I'm just going to put all of them together, and we'll see which one takes hold. But like, this is a consumer problem, so we shouldn't worry about it as much. And generally, college football fans are not going to worry about it. But it is kind of interesting because now these networks having to weigh all that in, like the red hat guy that we all, not his fault. We can't stand him though. Every time he walks out on the field, it's very annoying when you're at the game. I feel like it's even worse when you're at the game than watching on TV because, like you guys said, get on Twitter, start texting people with their game takes, go to the kitchen, go to the bathroom, go cook something, whatever it may be. At the game, it's even worse. But commercials are obviously an important part. Advertising is an important part. So for these networks, we've even seen some talk from Disney to ESPN. Jimmy Pitaro was talking about this recently where he's kind of gotten this directive of, we got to be a little bit more careful with how much we're spending on TV rights, billions of dollars. It's obviously very valuable to have these broadcasts, but, one big reason they get them, well, they can sell advertising. So as Wes said, to increase or better the consumer experience, not bog everybody down with a million TV timeouts and keep the game going, you've got to find some non-traditional ways. That's one of the reasons I like watching soccer so much. There's going to be some stoppage time for a guy rolling around, writhing in pain, and then he's fine 1 second later. There's going to be some stoppages, but in general, the game is still going. And I don't think fans want to lessen scoring. We've seen in basically all sports, how can you score more?
Right. And going back to Wes's point about if they were to do the thing like the clock running on first down, that would cut down the number of plays. In college football, the average amount of plays per game is 180. The NFL, where the clock does not stop on first down, is 155. So you're talking about cutting anywhere between 20 and 30 plays out of a college football game. If this, which I feel like is the most likely rule to happen, were to be put into effect.
Well, I think when you start talking about you can't have back-to-back timeouts, that's not, for one, you don't see back-to-back timeouts very often.
You're talking about saving 2 minutes once or twice a week over the course of the entire college football landscape, that kind of thing.
When Spurrier was here, we saw it a couple times.
We did, and we wish it didn't exist. So, I don't have any problem with that rule, but I think the other ones you're talking about actually changing the flow of the game, and there are ways. I think ultimately this is something I've said this for a long time. Fans are going to push back on this as well. But ultimately, you're going to see advertisements on the jerseys of players. That's going to eventually come. You could see advertising as much as we see from the referees. Why not slap that on them as well? However, I will just say don't put FTX on there like MLB did. That didn't work out too well. But I think if you're going to continue to have all the sort of commercialism of college sports, which is not going away, then you just have to figure out a way to do it more efficiently. But the good thing is, I think you can do that without completely changing your game. People, you're not making your product better by saying we're going to shorten the game, but we're giving you less of what you actually want to see. So percentage-wise, you're saying, all right, you're actually going to see more advertising. And no one has ever sat around and said, I can't wait to watch the ads on this college football game this weekend. So I'm completely open to change. I'm completely open to conversations about rule changes. They're not all bad, even though people push back against all change. However, shortening the actual game itself, less plays, not here for that. Let's just find a way to do this more efficiently. And yes, they have the technology to put a freaking 3D logo of whatever company you want on the middle of the field in between a play. So you're telling me you wouldn't rather watch the Geico wizard pop up in the huddle or something in between a play as opposed to seeing additional actual traditional advertising that puts everybody to sleep? And if y'all not noticed on the streaming stuff, it's the same commercial
over and over.
Ever watch the game that's not really on the major network, like the SEC Network Plus? You're watching a baseball game or a basketball game on there. It's the same 4 commercials the entire game.
Yeah.
And I even get with the service that I use that I will not promote, I even get the Enjoy the Zen sometimes. It's like nature or something. It's cool every now and then. But honestly, I'll take an advertisement during the game over that.
Right.
So give me more of that. You guys actually are talking a lot about integrations and media, 3D on your TV. great time to tell everybody about the fine folks at Integrated Media. Streaming, Wes, as you mentioned earlier, when you're watching these games, regardless of whether or not you like the commercials, whether or not you're seeing advertisements during the game, however long the game is, however the game is going, you want to make sure that you're having the best possible experience. We can't control some things like rule changes, but we can control how we watch the game. So check out our friends Michael and Nathan at Integrated Media. They can give you home theater solutions, audio and video, TV installations. If you need something as simple as a soundbar and a TV mounted, or if you need a whole home, smart home solution where you can control all your devices, your security system wirelessly from your phone, Integrated Media can make that happen. Go check out some examples of some of the systems that they put in, checking out their Facebook page and their Instagram, Integrated Media Columbia, or you can give them a call, 803-948-8327, or visit their website at integratedmediainc.com.
So you brought up a really good point about soccer and the way that, and of course, a soccer game isn't really designed to have commercial breaks because it is a continue running clock. But they do have like the banner advertisements basically going around the entire stadium. Could you do something like that with football where you have banners on the TV sideline where you're constantly running ads while the game is going on? You know, I look at what hockey does where they kind of almost use the green screen effect on the sides of the rink where, you know, when they do like a low angle camera, you can see the local ads, but when it's the like wide regular TV shot, it's whatever ad TV wants to play. Like there's a lot of ways you can do this that I certainly think hopefully they're thinking about for the next line of these media deals once they start up.
And I think there will be some pushback on that from some people, old school people, but it's still a far more efficient way to do it than just saying, hey, we're going to stop everything
right
and go to an advertisement. I mean, when they, and you know, I don't really pay that much attention to the actual structure of when they go to an ad and like the mechanics of that. But doesn't it feel like, I mean, how many times have you seen like a score and then they go to commercial, then there's a kickoff, and then it feels like they go to a commercial again, and it's just like you are completely just hammered over the head with these commercial breaks. So I think there are way more efficient ways to do it. And again, people may not like that, but it's better than the alternative. It's like, if you gave them a choice, though, would they rather have a new, more streamlined ad system versus more traditional ads? I think most everybody would ultimately realize the more streamlined, efficient ads, even though they're a little bit distracting,
right,
which is what they're supposed to be, actually,
sure,
is a much better way to do it.
All right, going into our first time out, come back on the other side, talk a little bit of spring football. But first, Gamecock Baseball back in action today for their fifth game of the season. Coming up at 4 o'clock at Founders Park. First pitch can be heard right here on 107.5 The Game. Pregame starting at 3:45. I have a pair of tickets for you to win to go out to this afternoon's game. Just be caller number 5 at 803-404-6100, and you'll win those tickets. Be right back on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Gamecocks baseball all season long on The Game.
The Gamecocks do battle versus Queens on Wednesday, 3:45 p.m. pregame, 4 o'clock first pitch.
Gamecocks baseball on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. Even in sports, things come to an end. The Patriots missed the playoffs these days. The expected 10-year dominance of the Warriors evaporated. Now Duke, UNC, and Kentucky may all miss March Madness. Rest easy if you hate the success of your rival. It won't last forever. And for the limping blue bloods of college hoops, good luck in the United. This is Damon Amendolara.
Purchase new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts today and we'll install them for free. See better and drive safer with O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
3 little words no parent wants to hear.
My tummy hurts.
And it always seems to happen at the worst times. Like in the middle of the morning rush, when you still have homework to check and lunches to pack, and of course, you're already late for work. Luckily, there's Pepto Kids. Pepto Kids chewables provide fast relief for common stomach issues, turning those 3 words into these 3 words. I feel better. Bad time for stomach upsets? Good time for Pepto Kids chewables. Fast relief for little tummies. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB, 800-391-5063 for your free consultation and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
With Spectrum Mobile and the epic new Samsung Galaxy S23 series, you get the fastest Samsung phone delivering even faster speeds with Spectrum Speed Boost. Trade in with Spectrum and get $600 off the new Samsung Galaxy S23 series, plus the value of your trade-in. Visit a Spectrum store or spectrum.com/Samsung for details. Service not available in all areas. Internet required. Advanced Wi-Fi compatible equipment required. Restrictions apply.
Love is in the air.
It's a brand new day.
Birds are singing duets together.
And squirrels are chasing each other across the treetops.
Everyone has a twinkle in their eye.
Chickaboom.
Don't let junk get in the way.
Make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
And you'll be back to your old self again.
We've got magic in our fingertips.
And that's why everyone starts dancing.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Attention golf and sports club enthusiasts. Are you looking for a top-notch, family-focused facility in the Midlands? Well, look no further than the Windermere Club. Our 18-hole P9 golf course is legendary and well-maintained. Our indoor-outdoor tennis complex is top of the line, and our fitness center is loaded with the latest equipment. That's not all. We also have a state-of-the-art aquatic center with programming for swimmers of all levels. And the best part, our rates are unbeatable. Craving delicious food with a view? Come enjoy the Lakeside Grill. Our talented chef serves up mouth-watering dishes with a beautiful lake view. Lakeside Grill, where every meal is a masterpiece. Don't miss out on this opportunity to be a part of the Windermere Club for less than $70 a month. The Windermere Club, where excellence meets affordability. Call us now at 786-PUT to schedule a tour and take advantage of this special offer. That's 786-PUT.
Washington led the revolution. Lincoln saved the nation. Now, Galliana Kia is making with the best deals in years. America loves a great deal, and Galliana Kia delivers new Kias with zip, nothing down, and 0 payments for the next 3 months. Plus, Galliana Kia will get you out of your current lease or loan. Even if you're over mileage, have months left, or still owe thousands. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. If you've got a job and you make at least $2,000 per month, our lenders can get you approved. Don't make a car buying mistake. If you want a great deal without the hassle, gotta go. Galliana Kia on Greystone, I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Annual stock number K1107, 278 per month for 84 months at 6.9 APR. Price plus tax tag includes $225 closing fee. Negative trip equity finance given loan subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
Discover Herndon Certified. Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence, knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
And welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, Wes, and Chris along with you. Guys, today is February the 22nd. We are just a little under 2 months away from the spring game coming up in April. So plenty of time between now and then, but obviously you have a lot of new faces for the Gamecock football team on campus. And one big thing that takes place this time of year is putting a little bit of size on these guys coming in, and that's certainly already taking place for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, so Callie Taylor, shout out. He's right outside the door right now, actually, after doing his show earlier today. We took the time to put together the South Carolina number and weight assignments this year on Gamecock Central. And, you know, we can discuss sort of the fact that heights and weights are always kind of debated on, how accurate they are. But I think Steve Fink and those guys do a good job of keeping the official roster pretty close to reality, which is maybe more than you can say for some places. But Chris, we got some new information. I think it's always interesting to maybe compare the sizes compared to last year, for one, and two, to just see what the new guys are listed at. And you get a little bit of information off of that from when they're first, listed as signees. But I think you get a little bit more when you see what they're listed as actual student athletes. And for the fans, by the way, this is a free article, so go check it out, GamecockCentral.com. I know the fans enjoy seeing what numbers guys will wear, but I think the more interesting thing is just seeing these official heights and weights of guys.
Yeah, there's some really, really interesting numbers in here. The one that stood out, Pup Howard, 6'4", 242. Wow. Like, we knew, how many people have you talked to, Wes, where you're like, Pup enrolled in January, went through bowl practice with the team, a portion of the bowl practices. And we heard from so many people like, man, this guy is really, really impressive in a lot of ways, especially physically. Like, you just look at him, he looks the part. He does not look like a typical freshman. But that was, I would say, a little bit more than I expected, especially on the weight. Mm-hmm. Carolina, by the way, has 3 different guys listed at 6'4", 242. That's a very interesting. Maurice Brown is another one who is actually a guy that could make some noise. A walk-on from the DMV area.
Tight end. Yeah.
Yep. Pup Howard, 6'4", 242. And Reed McKeskin's 242, but he's 6'6". Josh Simon is also another tight end, transferred from Western Kentucky, 6'4", 242.
So did this guy get just stuck at 242 glitch for a few guys. And I'll say this, man. You mentioned Maurice Brown, aka Mo Brown, Mo Brown Part 2, I guess. He had mentioned, or you had mentioned that this was a walk-on who could be maybe better than what people typically think of for a walk-on. And I actually heard that since he's arrived as well. Like, hey, this guy might be somebody to keep an eye on. So tight end room is going to look much different than a year ago. And I think they still feel pretty good about where they are at that spot, though. I think, to a man, I think that they think that position is going to be just fine. I'll tell you what, I was a little surprised at how big Trey Knox is. Going to wear number 1, by the way, but listed at 250 pounds. He's a wide receiver turned tight end, obviously. He played tight end for Arkansas last year. And sometimes it seems like, Chris, when these guys have to bump up in weight to play a different position, even when they get to a certain weight, they struggle to maybe maintain it. Sometimes you'll see guys get to a certain weight and they maybe realize, wow, I've lost some of my explosiveness. I've lost some of my speed. I'm not the same person at this weight. And you maybe see that weight regress a little bit. In this case, according to Colin's article, he is 5 pounds heavier than he was listed with Arkansas last year. And so that's a guy that I think Carolina fans are rightfully excited about. I think they should be. He's someone that's probably going to be a starter this year. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. But maybe he's a little bit better situated to do some of the things you ask a complete tight end to do this year than maybe I realized coming in.
Yeah, and it seems like South Carolina and Trey Knox, they want to utilize him in a way that's really going to maximize what his skill set is. And, of course, if you look back at him in high school coming out of Tennessee, Justin Stepp recruited and signed him to Arkansas. He was a receiver. He was a big receiver, certainly not 250 pounds, not even 240 pounds, but a bigger receiver. And so he has transitioned to tight end. But at 250 pounds, Wes, I totally agree. To the extent that you're going to ask him to block somebody in the box or even on the perimeter, he's got a better opportunity, I think, to do that. Now, will South Carolina have him do that a lot? I wouldn't think as much, just because, you don't want to, it's kind of the square peg round hole thing. Trey Knox is a guy that's a really, really good receiver. And so that's kind of the skill set you want to take advantage of. But you look at that tight end room, there's so much conversation. And there are other positions, running back, edge, you don't feel this good. at this point about the replacements, about replenishing this room. That story's still got to be written. We don't know on the tight end room yet, but just on paper with the guys that you've brought in as replacements, whether it is a walk-on like Mo Brown or if it's the guys that they brought in via the transfer portal and the freshmen, you're starting to feel, pretty good, or you probably have felt good about this picture because of the different types of skill sets you got in. And so you've got Knox, a big guy who can catch the football. You got Josh Simon, who's 6'4", 242 as well. He's a guy that can run. We've heard some good things about him in the offseason too, Wes, just about his ability to run routes, his level of experience. He's played college ball for quite a while at Western Kentucky. And then Nick Oaksness, too, may not make as big of an impact this year. He's still relatively inexperienced, but also has some upside, particularly, I think, as a blocker. So picturing the tight end room is looking pretty good.
No doubt, man. I think a couple other things that caught my attention. Sidney Fugar, transfer from Western Illinois, 315 pounds now. That's down over 15 pounds from what he was listed at his previous stop. And actually, shout out my buddy Joe. He pointed out I had missed this picture along the way. There's a picture of Fugar floating around on Twitter where he's pushing a sled, and he looks like a Marvel character. Like, he is just massive. And, I had sort of maybe framed his addition up as being a guy that I think is more of a down, even though he's a transfer, he has 3 years left, so he's more of a down-the-line contributor, in my opinion. We'll probably hope to work into a backup role potentially this year. I don't think he's quite as far along as maybe some of the other guys, but just looking at him physically, Chris, I mean, like he looks like an SEC guy. Like, you can see very easily why South Carolina was interested or intrigued to bring this guy in. So he'll be one. If you're making a list, there may be some guys ahead of him, but if you're kind of making a list of guys that you're interested or intrigued to get an eye on this spring, we get to watch practice. He's actually moved up this list for me. And, another guy who I think fans have let themselves maybe get excited or intrigued about would be D'Angelo Gibbs, listed at 6'1", 218. I will caution out of fairness, this isn't even a put down. This is more, I think, I look at it more, Chris, as fairness to the players themselves. Like, sometimes if you try to squash big expectations, people think of it as a negative. Well, I look at it more as let's be fair to this player. Let's be fair to what the expectations should be. With Gibbs, people get caught up in he was a 5-star guy out of high school. And, I saw people going, South Carolina got 2 5-stars to finish off the class. I don't think you can frame it up like that. He took a whole year off of ball. Right now, he's just trying to get back into actual playing shape, I think. As of right now, it appears he's going to sort of start out at South Carolina on the defensive side of the ball. That's something they were sort of going back and forth on. But this is a low-risk, high-reward move to bring him in. The balance of this is that, it's kind of a wait and see. But the other side of that coin is that he was a 5-star for a reason. So there is a baseline of talent there. There is ability there. And we'll just see if South Carolina could possibly, pull that out of him. And, let's give credit where it's due. Torian Gray, 2 years now, we have evidence of him taking what is there and putting a really, really good output on the field from his guys.
Well, Torian Gray and Pete Limbo. This is D'Angelo Gibbs is probably the perfect candidate to be someone to go and pick up some special team snaps. South Carolina's losing a good bit on that front. Some of the tight ends that played a key role, a guy like Darius Rush, who is not only a starter on defense, but a great special teams player. Not saying that you expect that Gibbs is going to start on all the special teams units and be great there, be a straight-up replacement, but he has the traits to potentially do that. If he can come in, get back into playing shape, and kind of tap into that potential that he has. There's a few more notes, Wes, in here that I want to talk about on some of these guys. That would be maybe a natural lead into some talking about some position battles, too. You had a piece up on that on GamecockCentral.com.
Yeah, we're going to head into another timeout, but before we do, I have another pair of tickets to give away. This for tonight's basketball game as they welcome in number 2 Alabama at Colonial Life Arena. Tip-off for that game comes at 9 o'clock, which you can listen to right here on 107.5 The Game. Of course, pregame starting at 8:30. Be caller number 5, 803-404-6100. Win yourself a pair of tickets. We'll be right back with the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs right here on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on The Game.
Wednesday night, the Gamecock men host first place Alabama. 8:30 p.m. pregame, 9 o'clock tip-off.
Your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
An ode to the mountains, oceans, rivers, and adventurers of the Southeast, Peak Drift Brewing Company has launched its award-winning craft beers and hard seltzers to bars, stores, and restaurants across the Midlands. Try our Golden Ale, New England IPA, Red IPA, Berry Crumble Sour, or Fire. All crafted using cutting-edge technology to promote sustainability and industry collaboration. Find your Peak Drift moment at peakdriftbrewing.com.
See two comedy legends together live on stage. Steve Martin and Martin Short. You won't believe what they look like today.
By the way, Martin Short is also the name I use when I check into a hotel and want to be anonymous. 35 years later, and you're still the jerk.
Steve Martin and Martin Short with very special guest Jeff Abco and the Steep Canyon Rangers. Saturday, October 14th, 8 p.m. at Township Auditorium. On Friday, February 24th, 10 a.m. at the box office and Ticketmaster.com. Produced by Winemaker Entertainment.
South Carolina fans, this is Spencer Rattler. The Garnet Trust is making a difference by connecting fans like you with athletes like me through NIL deals. Head on over to GarnetTrust.com to find out how you can support me and my teammates for as little as $10.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the gutter man.
The Guttermen have been providing top-notch service throughout the Midlands for over 47 years, building their business on relationships, not gimmicks. And you can call them locally, not a 1-800 number. Call them today at 791-7147 and look for the guys in the powder blue trucks.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the gutter man.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This basketball season and every basketball season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
Hey, South Carolina, Scott here from Traditions with good news if you're in the market for an engagement ring or for diamond jewelry, because we have the largest selection you'll see anywhere in the Southeast. And whether you're in the market for a traditional mine diamond or for one of these amazing new lab-grown diamonds, we've got you covered. Because whether you're buying mined or lab, you'll be happy to know that at Traditions, we guarantee the trade-in value of both kinds of diamonds at our store. So if the day comes where you want an even bigger diamond, we'll be happy to give you full value you pay for your original when you trade it in. Even better, we have over 1,000 diamond rings in stock, so you'll get to try on pretty much every style imaginable. And if you still don't see exactly the right design, we'll be glad to custom make it for you. And yes, we have interest-free financing for qualified buyers. So come see us and get the ring of your dreams with a diamond of your choice, only at Traditions Fine Jewelers, South Carolina's diamond superstore and customization destination on Sunset in Lexington and at the Fountain in Sand Hills, where the Midlands get engaged.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
With Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs, Tyler, Wes, and Chris along with you. Now, Chris, you haven't been in here in over a week, so I'm going to let Wes refresh you on the Firehouse Sub of the day for Wednesdays, in case you've forgotten.
Yeah, call him out, Tyler. By the way, we can completely refresh Chris on Firehouse Subs this Friday. And for anybody listening, you can do the same. Come on out to 633 Main Street, Columbia, South Carolina, 29201. The entire 9 to 12 shows will be at that Firehouse Sub, live and on location. So come on out. Today is actually the New York Steamer. I've admitted this several times. I've still not tried the New York Steamer. I have other favorites I always go to. But the sub of the day today, again, that's $5.99 for a small, $7.99 for a medium, is the New York Steamer. There is a sub of the day for every single day of the week. Chris, it has been decided on Friday, I'm going to try the New York Steamer for the first time, and I'm going to let the people know what I think. But you don't have to wait until Friday. I hope you do come see us on Friday. Go ahead. Get the New York Steamer today, Rapid Rescue, order online, or just give them a call, 803-733-9836. That's actually the specific number for that USC one, but there are 14 locations in the Midlands. Hit the Rapid Rescue, and you can find the one closest to you.
And I'm going to refresh myself fully on Firehouse Subs, not only what the sub of the day is for each day and have those memorized once again, I'm going to just try every single sub that they have.
Yeah, well, you missed, so Meatball Monday, none of us were here.
That's right.
Turkey Bacon Ranch, again, three of my favorite things in the world. Well, two of my three favorite things, to be completely honest. But New York Steamer, never tried it. Going to try it on Friday.
That'll be outstanding. By the way, another programming note, tomorrow, Thursday, February 23rd, the Garnet Trust Hour here on 107.5 The Game. At 10 a.m., we're going to have Gamecock baseball pitcher James Hicks, who, Wes, I understand, going to be coming off a little bit of a start.
He'll be starting. So, Chris, you're going to be there for that.
Yeah. I'm never show up. Golly, guys.
We're going to continue this.
Yeah.
But no, that's perfect time. Did y'all plan that, or just that he was going to be starting, and then
I'm not going to tell y'all. Y'all have been hurting me.
I mean, let's hope he has a good outing.
Yeah, let's hope he plays well.
Well, if he doesn't, then we'll talk about other things.
Well, Colin gave him high praise. He said he's a good interview. So
he's a very good interview.
He's setting the bar high.
We're going to go 6 for 6. Okay. Y'all think we could take? How long can we take this streak?
Well, by the way, Tyler, you were right. Even counting Spencer, Taylor Jacobson was 5 for 5.
Yep.
Like she was our 5th.
Okay.
Spencer was on the Gamecock Central Takeover, but
we're still counting.
Yeah, that's the debate we were having. It's like he technically wasn't on the Garnet Trust Hour.
Well, we're still counting him. He was a Garnet Trust guest.
That's true.
That was just a scheduling thing.
Yes.
Yes. So Taylor yesterday was our 5th, and we are 5 for 5. Mm-hmm. However, I mean, it's not like we're going to be like, oh, yep, there we found our dud.
I know that's what we were going one day and be like, all right, we're
7 for 8.
Yeah, we're 7 for 8. We're not going to say who was the
they're going to be able to guess when the next time they listen and say, well, I was the last guest, and now they're 7 for 8 instead of 8 for 8. So it's probably me.
We'll just have to take a break from like the count if it happens, and then revisit several weeks.
I have a goal to get every single one to promise to bring us food next time. So
I was going to say, well, we're on a good streak there because Taylor was going to bring us some kind of rice thing that her and her teammates make on TikTok. Like, yes. That sounded pretty good.
Rice with teriyaki chicken.
That's what it was.
And Wes, the rumor, breaking some news. The rumor is that your idea about the board,
okay,
that people can sign. The rumor is that's going to happen.
Love it.
So are y'all going to be able to go back and get the other 5 signatures?
We're going to take it to them. If it's like 20 feet long, or wide, we're just going to walk it up to their.
We're just going to be walking around campus with this big board. There's signatures on it.
Kendall's probably going to make you film that.
She'll probably be filming it.
Yeah, I was going to say she can film it, produce it, edit it, all that. We were talking before the break about some of the heights and weights updated from Colin Taylor's story. He put that together so that we did not have to research it, Wes, which I appreciated. You don't have to research it either. You can still go check that out on GamecockCentral.com. He's got it all laid out for you. But it's kind of a natural lead into some position battles. So here's one I wanted to ask you about, Wes, because you wrote about 6 early position battles to watch for spring football once that officially gets going next month. One guy listed that I feel like personally has been kind of undervalued, or to make up a word today, under talked about under discussed is probably a better word. Nick Gargiulo, the Yale transfer, he's now at 310 pounds, 20 pounds heavier than his listed weight with Yale. This is a guy that was an all-Ivy performer, smart dude, experienced dude, has played left tackle and moved to center last year for Yale where he had his best season. And that's kind of where South Carolina has been eyeing him. I know you mentioned him, Wes, in your offensive line, battles breakdown. And really, we think we know a few spots, the most likely outcomes, but there are a couple of spots up for grabs in spring ball on the offensive line.
Well, and I actually started with a lot of times you see these articles and you'll see it's like a BuzzFeed thing. It's like the 5 best shoes if you're going on a hike this weekend. So I started with 5. And statistically, people will click articles more if it has a number in the headline for some reason. Started with 5, and I actually couldn't cut it down. So 6 actually ended up being just it. That's what it needed to be. But O-line, even when it was 5, was part of this conversation. And what I did, and I think, when you go into these things, you got to remember, it's not, nothing is actually locked in. But for the purposes of discussing it and not getting down into the weeds of it, Sidney Fugar may come in. We haven't seen him play at the SEC level. He may have a great offseason, and they may be like, this guy is way too good not to play. One of the guys that redshirted last year may just take a huge step forward. That's what makes sports great. You don't actually know. But, for this article and this discussion, I felt the safest way to go about it was to kind of just go off of what they did in the bowl game and then go from there. Because, one value from having guys scout the bowl game, Chris, is that you already know who was next. So, you don't have to project, well, hey, Dylan Wanham is not back on this year's football team. He wasn't on the bowl roster either. You get to see Tyshawn Wanamaker is your right tackle. So I took the approach of, look, Jalen Nichols, he started at left tackle in the bowl game. Let's pencil him, not make it permanent, but let's pencil him in at left tackle. Let's pencil in Ja'Kai Moore at left guard. They sort of made that move kind of down the stretch of last year and stuck with it. Although I still do kind of like Ja'Kai at tackle, but there, Tyshawn, pencil him in at right tackle. You kind of feel like those 3 guys are on the field because they're returning starters at this point. Then that leaves you with filling a couple of holes. Eric Douglas was your starting center for a long time. Javon Gwynn was your starting other guard for a long time. So to me, you actually I boiled it down to 3 guys competing for 2 spots. And that would be, as you said, Gargiulo, who's transferring in from Yale. Then, of course, Rashawn Lee, who has started during his career, and Trey Jones. So I think Trey Jones can be a little bit of a forgotten guy at times, but has played well when he has been in there and has pushed for playing time at times during his career. So I sort of look at it like Gargiulo is probably a center. Rashawn Lee has mainly played guard in his career, but I think has snapped at times in practice. Trey Jones, when he arrived at South Carolina, was talked about as a potential center. So it's always going to be about getting the best 5 on the field, Chris. But that's kind of where I landed, just sort of trying to at least put some structure into the conversation right now without the fact that, that some guy could come out of nowhere and push into a starting conversation here.
And some positional versatility for really all those guys. I mean, if you really think about it, probably more so with, say, a Ja'Kai Moore, who could always go play tackle. Tyshawn Wanamaker has spent more time at tackle, but can play inside if you want to. You mentioned Jones. He's an interior guy. Rashawn Lee has played tackle in his career. So you've kind of got it 6 guys for 5 spots. Let me throw this one at you because I agree with your assessment totally. What about Kason Henry? Is he guy 7 at a tackle spot?
Yeah, I think he could be. I'll throw this right back at you. How many true freshmen are on the 2 deep come week 3 of the season? I mean, could a guy like Big Tree True Babalade, could he be in the mix at a tackle spot? Could Marky Anderson, who was already on campus, be in the mix somewhere? Trevon Ball is a forgotten guy, I think, who's already pretty far along as an interior lineman who could potentially get into the mix. This freshman class, you don't really look at freshmen and say, oh, they're going to play early, they're going to start early. However, there's enough talent in this freshman class on the offensive line that I sit there and say it's very hard to pinpoint which one, but just statistically, I can almost guarantee one of them out of the group is going to come in and just be too good not to at least be in the conversation, I think.
All right, get running to our last time out. Come back and wrap up the day here on Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Here's what's coming up on the game.
Thursday on the Garnet Trust Hour between 10 and 11 a.m., redshirt junior right-hander James Hicks from the Gamecocks baseball team will join Chris and Wes again. That's the Garnet Trust Hour, Thursday between 10 and 11 a.m.
Your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Doco Whip Fest is coming to Doco Mills Park March 10th and 11th in Blythewood. Music, food, fun, and 10,000 pounds of ribs and a cook-off competition. Friday evening movie night and music by Too Much Sylvian. Saturday's music and closest place and band, Common Time Bluegrass Band, Blues Deluxe, Rum Saturday Tracks, and Tokyo Joe. Free admission and parking shuttle service. For tickets and more info, visit DocoWhipFest.com. Presented by the town of Blythewood, Chamber of Commerce, Room Heating and Air, and Doco Smoke.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we know how serious injuries change people's lives. I'm Jason Reynolds. When you're involved in a major car or truck accident, my team is on your side. You don't have to be alone. Let's do this together.
And I'm Steven Simmons. When you're hard at work, my team is with you from start to finish. We're people with a passion for helping injured workers. Bring your case to us and stop the worry. We've got this.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
Camden Military Academy. It's probably not what you think. Here now from a cadet's mom.
He didn't need to be in a program that was twice the cost, where he was going to get lost just where he was already. He needed to be in a smaller environment that was going to give him a safe place to grow up, make mistakes, and learn who he is, and learn to be proud of who he is. Get that confidence in himself.
To learn more, visit CamdenMilitary.com.
Chris, this needs to go to Parkville by 3. Join to the packages that keep coming to couriers. There's coming in way, but the drop-off location is changing.
She needs to overclock us with the gift of punctuality.
Anyone looking to pick up some overtime? Anyone?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first month. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive presents into the suburbs. I never really thought about into a house in the suburbs. It's like this weird homeowner. If I need a tool for a project, and I have it, and my neighbor Ted looked to give me that look when I asked to borrow a pole saw. A year ago, I didn't even know pole saws existed. And now I got to borrow one from Ted. What is happening? Anyway, it's progressive, but bundle all that up. That's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Key Insurance Company, which provided in service by Philips and Party Insurance.
Hey, I'm Jenny Storm. I'm Stormy Plumbing. If you have any systems, classrooms, leaking pipes, running toilets, running sinks, or hot water, call Stormy Plumbing for all of your service and repair needs. 803-212-689. Stormy Plumbing, where we make your skies blue. Stormy Plumbing. I look forward to hearing from you. Please call us at 803-201-2689. Thank you.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
A 327 new Chevy pickup now in Herndon Chevrolet. Hottest Patrick Denman and words on one. So shop your hometown Chevy dealer today.
Tires on and a big style. 3 at 5. Sounded by Fire. Chris Clark. Tyler Ted, you're home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Yeah, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler and Chris along with you for a few more minutes. Of course, the halftime show with Jay and Terry coming up at the top of the hour. Going back to what you guys were talking about before we hit our last break, these position battles along the offensive line, with so many new pieces in place battling for these spots, how much are we going to be able to learn through spring about who are going to be the guys when fall rolls around?
This program is very much like many the competition, so I don't know necessarily if we're going to get some official work on all these. I think for the most part, we've seen they'll want these battles to continue. They'll want for the guys to continue to do whatever they did in the spring and to carry that into the summer and into fall camp. However, that being said, I think we'll have an idea on some of these direction it's headed, and then on others, there'll still be some question marks. I mean, we don't really have necessarily all the time to dive into it, but you look at that edge spot, you look at right back. I mean, those are the two positions I think you circle and say are maybe the highest concern right now. You need to have, there's several guys on there you can circle and say, they have a big spring. And I also think those are the spots most likely for South Carolina to go out and add transfer portal guys at as well. So, and again, something that's great in theory, but who are transfer portal guys that they go and get? Are they able to get a difference maker at those positions, or are they more able to get guys who are just kind of filling in and plugging a hole until you can maybe bring along some of your younger players or recruit your way out of it? So those questions, I feel like there are some things we're just not going to have an answer to this spring.
And that is an important distinction, I think, between offensive line where, South Carolina's going to keep an eye on the portal even in the offensive line. So maybe you bring somebody in, but the priorities are definitely not there as much as say, a running back. The offensive line, I think it's a question of mixing and matching the guys you've already gotten. And I think you look back historically, we've seen some guys exit spring as the starter, number one on the depth chart, however you want to think about it. We've seen some guys exit as kind of, there's two guys battling for one spot. We've also seen, by the time the season rolls around, that ends up changing. But it's an important distinction between offensive line and first, across the country, from State Farm has features active maps up to 30% savings insurance budget if you just download and from State Farm or local agent's office. Switch and save. We called Amy Mason State Farm and she took care of the rest and helped with all sorts of policies: home, auto, business, boat, renter's insurance, life insurance, much more. Whatever your needs are, Mason Cup State Farm will have you covered. You can visit our website, MasonCup.com. That's Amy, MASINCUP, and let her help your family just like she helped. Or you can give her a call, 803-772-5554. I totally agree with Wes in that, offensive line, you may not have any additions. You may see maybe a freshman jumps into the two deep. I don't think we anticipate any freshman starters ultimately exiting the spring or exiting preseason. When you look at edge and running back, those are a couple where you go, okay, there's going to be a number one coming out of the spring. And I certainly think Jordan Strong at edge is going to remain a number one. At the other spot, is it Tucker Hemingway, coming out of the spring or during the season? Does he play there a little bit? Is it, say, Tyreek Johnson or Terrell Dawkins or Brian Thomas Jr., somebody else? And then you get the spring portal, the post-spring portal window, May 1st through 15th, and ultimately you end up getting somebody else as your starter by the time you're kicking off against UNC. I think that's a very fair question, and same at running back.
And I think if you want to talk about guys we're most intrigued to see, sometimes it's just more so about the player himself. Leonard Sellers, extremely interested after watching him this year, watching him in camp settings, watching him scramble practice, seeing him sort of take that jump into SEC play. He'll be a guy that I'm kind of glued to spring, but that doesn't mean you're expecting or that you're anticipating for him to be like the guy. Obviously Spencer Rattler is your starting quarterback. Luke Doty is your backup at this point, and there's a fight for number 3 there. But that's more just about who he is as a player. When it comes to some of these other spots, it's more, I guess I would say, in the context of, hey, there's a need here. There's a need for somebody to step up and play and take a spot. So Mario Anderson, as he makes that jump from Newberry to South Carolina to the SEC, I can be glued to him and see, is this a guy who can come in and be dynamic? Is it more like he's going to be maybe your typical average SEC running back? Is he an above average SEC running back? We've seen, especially at that position, guys sort of be able to make that step up in competition. And I think Carolina's going to have enough firepower within the passing game, getting Rattler back, getting Juice Wells back, putting guys around him where they're going to feel pretty good about the passing game. They're going to feel pretty good about this offense. And the offensive line, I would say questions, I feel pretty confident, pretty comfortable. They've got the guys on campus already to answer those questions. You sort of get to running back, you get to edge, and that's where you say, these are real questions, these are question marks, and we might have the answers at the end of spring. If someone like Mario Anderson could come in and have a fantastic spring, then that would go really far for South Carolina feeling better about that position moving forward.
All right, that'll do it for today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris will be back with you tomorrow. Don't forget, James Hicks is going to be joining us from the baseball team for the Garnet Trust Hour tomorrow morning from 10 until 11. Halftime show with JT coming up next right here on 107.5 The Game.
WNKT-FM, Columbia.
This is Gamecock quarterback Spencer Rattler, and you're listening to 107.5 The Game, home of the Gamecocks.
A Cumulus Media Station.
See 2 comedy legends together.